Today's session, we approximately will be about 30 minutes. We don't intend to run the full hour, but we will leave enough time for questions at the end. The area that we're going to talk about today is, can somebody go on mute? Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to cover the different versions of licenses available through Office 365. What's the difference?
Welcome to the audio conferencing center.
Can everyone please just try to go on mute?
Okay, so we're going to cover business versus enterprise licenses. What does it mean for your organization? We've got some use cases that we're going to cover for the different types of users. The nice part with Office 365 is one size does not fit all, so you get to pick and choose based on the requirements for the user and what applications they need access to. You can pick what licenses and change that as your business needs change. So we'll cover some of those scenarios. I'm going to talk about billing and some of the options that you've got available in terms of monthly and annual billing and the savings that you realize based on that. And finally, pricing and questions as it pertains to the different licensing options and the different journeys that you might be on, the various aspects of whether you have open licensing versus that you can ask questions on. So we'll get to introductions right away. So on the call today, we've got Fed, who's our licensing and contract specialist at Celero. Essentially, he's going to be running most of the meeting and is the most knowledgeable. And then we've got Brandy on the phone, who's our product manager for cloud services at Celero. Then we've got Kristen Wilson on the phone, who's our client solutions and business development person, and then myself, Mohsen Syed, I'm the general manager for cloud services. So with that, I think we're pretty much ready to go. We are going to, just because we've had some audio problems, we're going to move the mic closer to Fed here, and he's going to run the meeting out of Calgary. And if there's any issues, please let us know.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to confirm, can you guys hear okay?
All clear, Fed.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jordan. So good morning. I know Mohsen started off the presentation and let us know that obviously what we're here today to talk about is the licensing models under Office 365. But I think it's important to start with the initial question that led us all here is why Office 365? And I know, and at the risk of sounding repetitive, I do think it's important to quickly address this. So really, Office 365 is a solution that allows you to work and collaborate with your teams, really from anywhere and any type of device. It helps your business with enhanced security, protecting your data and allowing you to run your business smoothly. Office 365 gives you access to your business applications with a consistent experience. And lastly, it makes working together easier with powerful business solutions for email and virtual meetings as well as collaboration. Well, that said, we'll jump straight into the licensing piece. Mohsen mentioned at the start that really what we're looking at are two main streams, which are business and enterprise. Now, whenever you look at licensing, it definitely can be complex and convoluted. I'm sure if you've looked out there, there are many other licensing plans that you've seen. There's education, government, for home. But really, we're going to focus on these two because these are the two that really pertain to our use and the use that you have within your organizations. If we start looking at Office 365 for business and the enterprise versions and compare these, we'll notice that we have multiple levels of licenses that cover the different needs of all our users within our organization. These different levels of licensing will be based on the roles and how people are using it. And really, the answer to which one do I use is who's going to use it, how are they going to use it, and that way we'll be able to determine that. And we'll go over that later on in the presentation through some of the use cases that we'll be presenting. We'll start off here quickly with the first comparison, Office 365 Business versus Office 365 Pro Plus. You'll notice that they both give the users a desktop version and web access to Office Suites, the Office suite of applications. From there, we'll move into Business Essentials and Enterprise E1, which both give the users access to online versions of Office, along with business class email and a 50-gig mailbox, along with some collaboration services like Teams and SharePoint. And lastly, the third group that we have, we're looking at Business Premium, Enterprise E3, as well as Enterprise E5. And these, we can say they're a more complete experience. It gives them it gives users both access to desktop as well as online versions of the traditional Office applications as well as advanced Office apps. It provides business class email with a minimum of 50 gig mailbox. In some cases, is up to 100. And along with that, they have a wider range of collaboration tools. To get a better idea, I think, of the differences between these options, we have this chart that gives a graphic representation of each option and the differences. I think the first thing we want to draw attention to is the number of users. When we're looking at Office 365 for business plans, all of these plans are limited to the number of users, and that number there is 300. If you go over to the enterprise side, you'll see that there's no limitation on this. So that is probably your first key deciding factor. Are you over 300 users, or do you plan to be in the first year? If so, then the obvious choice to go with is Enterprise. If user count isn't an issue, we can start looking at comparing the business and enterprise plans. And the best way really to go about it is to look at each one and see really what the enterprise plans offer that business plans don't. As we had on the previous slide, and here you can see on the chart itself, we have the business plan and the respective enterprise plan that really provides the same coverage and service for the same type of role. We can look at Office 365 Business versus Pro Plus, Essentials versus Enterprise E1, and Premium versus E3. And basically, as you can see, they check off all the same boxes as their equivalent plan, but the key difference resides that the enterprise licenses provide options for a digitally driven experience, and to be more specific, what they really give you is the added advantages of having a Microsoft Teams PBX or PSTN conferencing, which could either be included or as an add-on option. It gives you advanced information protection, advanced threat protection, information rights management, group policies, Active Directory integration, access to advanced analytics through Power BI, Delve, etc. So those are the key differences, and if any of these on the list are something that you require, then you should definitely be looking at Enterprise because they're not even options through add-ons to the business plans. The last one that we have here that I didn't really compare to the rest is Enterprise E5. And the reason for that is because really E5 builds on the E1 and E3 enterprise plans, and it's really the highest tier of Microsoft offers right now. With E5, you get a complete phone system along with all the functionality available within the Office 365 suite, as well as enhanced security features, advanced workplace analytics for end users doing the organizational analytics. That said, we did want to quickly present this slide and let you know that obviously Office 365 is one piece of the larger ecosystem within 365. the chart that we have up here really represents where Office 365 falls and the different apps and suites that it allows users. But then along with that, we also have the M365 as well as the Enterprise Mobile and Security Suite. Really, if you look at the combination of Office 365 plus Windows and the Enterprise Mobile and Security Suite, these are all key components that make up the larger M365. And although today we're not really getting into the details of this, these conversations can be had, and we can look at the options to maybe jump straight into an M365. You know, some of the use cases we might see that are if you're coming up to the end of your enterprise agreement and don't want to renew, or you no longer qualify for the new renewal levels that Microsoft has, which have jumped up now to 500 seats minimum. As well, or if you're on an older version of Office, you know, all these things can help us decide what path to take and how you can license this. So with that, we'll just move on to what we previously said are the use case scenarios here. As I mentioned at the start, really how you decide what license will depend on who's using it and how they're going to use it. We've put together these few use case scenarios based on the type of users we found in our typical organizations. We started off with the first one, which is a light user. For the light user, we find that their business needs are a minimum mailbox size. They don't need a full set or enriched set of features in Office Suite. They might need access to a few things for very light use and sporadically. And maybe one of the key features for them will be to remain connected through instant messaging. So for this type of option, what we're looking at is going with either the Office 365 Business Essentials or the Enterprise E1 licenses. The second set of sub-users, I guess here would be the standard user. What we're looking at now with the standard group, which is probably the larger subset within an organization, is they definitely require a larger or expanded mailbox size. Their use of the Office Suite is probably a daily use, and they require the feature-rich versions installed on their devices. Collaboration is a lot higher, so for them, instant messaging isn't enough, and you're looking at other options such as desktop sharing and meetings. It also provides the full user experience with mobility, going one place to the other, being able to transfer from one device to another. And it also, we have a star here next to it, but some of these users may require phone systems. So when we look at the recommended licensing options here, if we're looking at users that require a phone system, once again, we have to license within Enterprise because Enterprise is the only one that would allow a phone system either as part of the license or as an add-on. So with those two options, we have Office 365 Enterprise E5 or Office 365 Enterprise E3 with an additional phone plan plus the conference plan add-ons. If phone systems aren't needed, then we can look at both the options that we have here, which are Office 365 Business Premium as well as Office 365 E3. And lastly, the last set of users are the power users, the ones that are really working on larger documents that need advanced analytics. They require additional features. And what we're looking at, their needs really, they want an even larger mailbox size. They want not just the entire Office Suite, they want the feature-rich versions of it, and they want the complete versions and additional add-ons that come on with the larger packages. Phone system, once again, is optional. And collaboration, instant messaging, once again, is extended even further. So we're looking at messaging, desktop sharing, meetings, as well as the other advanced collaboration tools that Microsoft offers. And the last point on this one, which is the key one, is workplace analytics. And here's really where we see the big difference. And for that, our recommended license option is to go with the Office 365 E5, as this covers all these boxes and allows users to have that complete experience. One other option we've decided to present here today as well is a scenario that we see that could be quite common out there. Right now, you may be running systems that are old and you need to upgrade, but don't want to necessarily have to pay to purchase brand new Office 2019 licenses while you make that journey over to Office 365. So really, when we say bridging to Office 365, what we're looking at is those businesses that have the need to upgrade the Office Suite environment now before they're ready to go down the Office 365 path, but do not want to spend the money in open business license or perpetual licenses. The options for this, once again, Office 365 Pro Plus or Office 365 Business, which gives you the ability to install the latest versions of the Office Suite on these devices, and allows us time to plan your roadmap to move over to the Office 365. That said, after the different levels of licensing and business versus enterprise, there's one more difference that we want to cover, and really this will be the monthly versus yearly subscriptions. What we have here on our screen right now is a timeline. What we want to represent is we'll give the example that today you sign up for your Office 365 licenses. And so you'll see that December 10, 2018 is the date where your subscription has been created. This creation date, what we're looking at, will actually trigger a 12-month period that you're subscribed for, which is the subscription period. And throughout this period, you're given the price protection. So whatever you've signed up for on the day one will be the same thing right through to the end of your subscription. The difference between the monthly and the yearly is, as you can see on this one, monthly billing is done each month. So even though you've signed up for the full year, you will be billed on a monthly basis by Celero. And for a comparison down here, what we have is the yearly billing. So once again, you sign up December 10, 2018. Your subscription goes all the way to December 10, 2019. You pay one time. You'll be invoiced by Celero once for the entire year, and once again, you get the same price protection. So for both these points, the key thing about price protection is if you add any licenses throughout this one-year subscription, you will get the same price that you had on day one, regardless if the price has gone up or not. And with that, I'll pass it over to Brandy so she can get into the pricing and billing.
Thanks, Ed. Maybe I'll just do a quick check, Jordan, that you can hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So next we'll go over the pricing, which I know many of you on the call have been patiently waiting for. Our pricing is a user subscription model and is based on a bundled service offering. So each bundle includes Celero's managed services and a subscription to a Microsoft license. Our managed services starts with the daily management, the end-user administration, and the proactive monitoring of your Office 365 environment. You can expect to receive expert support with deep knowledge on the Office 365 components via our service desk. And by leveraging our Microsoft partnership, Celero has invested in our resources to learn directly from the Microsoft experts and to become subject matter experts ourselves. You'll also have access to self-service training material to assist and expand your end users' knowledge to use Office 365 solutions to its fullest potential. And finally, Celero's industry expertise and managed services will allow you to focus on your business and not on the management of the solutions you use to grow your business. Now, looking specifically at the pricing, these prices apply to the monthly payment options, and you'll see that the bundles range from $9.60 per user per month up to $69.80. And that it all depends on the services that you need to subscribe to. You will have the flexibility to subscribe to a mix of licenses based on your specific end-user business needs. And if you happen to be interested in the annual billing model that Fed was mentioning before and want the benefits of some discounted pricing, annual rates will also be available as a second option. And also in January, we will be publishing a tier pricing option based on your number of end users. The pricing bundles listed here are for the ongoing subscription to the service. When it comes to the actual implementation of your Office 365 environment, those fees will be separate. And more information regarding those fees will be communicated in the new year, but you can expect a per-seat option to be available for some configurations. One thing I would like to provide some clarification on relates to enabling the phone functionality with Office 365. The E5 bundle includes the ability to use PSTN calling, and some of the other bundles allow it as an add-on. But in all those scenarios, calling plans are also required over and above those bundles. And those are your minutes to allow for your long-distance calling. More information regarding those calling plans will be communicated shortly in the new year. This slide is a summary of our base bundles, but as you saw in Fed's presentation of the use cases, there are options to configure your license and use different add-on type scenarios. So we will have a full list of the add-on licenses and those associated pricing. Those will all be made available to you as well. And finally, it's important to note that all the prices listed here are GST exempt, but PST will apply for customers in Saskatchewan. Next, I just wanted to give you an idea of how this new pricing might compare to what you're paying today. If you happen to subscribe to Celero's current on-premise environment for Exchange, Skype for Business, and SharePoint, and you also include your desktop Office solutions, you're likely paying about a minimum of $43 per user per month, and you're likely even paying a little bit more depending on your email storage levels. So when you compare these current fees to the two most common licenses of Business Premium or Enterprise E3, you can expect to realize some monthly and annual savings. You'll pay a little bit less, and at the same time, you will benefit from access to expanded collaboration feature functionality. So now we're going to move on to questions. So maybe we'll just take a look and see if there's anything in the question bar.
So far, I do not see a question, but I just wanted to quickly, before we open up for questions, just a quick comment on taxes. It is GST exempt, and PST is applicable to all provinces where PST is applied. So just wanted to get that clarity out there. All right, so first question is, to circle back to the licenses, what version of Excel is included with E5? Do you get Professional Plus? So it's actually Office Pro Plus for Office 365. That is the version. Microsoft moved away from the terminology of 2016 versus 2019 or whatever other version. So it is now just called Office 365 Pro Plus version, and I'll always have a consistent update coming anytime Microsoft releases a new update. So there is no longer. The other part that I want to clarify is there is no difference between an E5 Office Pro Plus version to an E3 Office Pro Plus version. They're all, if the Office Suite applications is included, you get the same version regardless of what license you're on.
One thing I did want to point out there, most of the business licenses do have a different Office Suite. It's the Office Business, and that's where you see the minimal differences between the business versus enterprise, where, for example, the
additional collaboration.
Pro Plus, you have additional collaboration. It'll give you advanced analytics, be able to do database comparison, spreadsheet comparison, etc. So really for the power users, if this is a must, once again, enterprise is the level of license you want to go with.
Okay, second question is, do you know the Power Query connector is included in that version? The Oracle Power Query connector is version dependent and can be used directly query the DNA database. So I'm looking around the room. So not off the bat, Zach, but no, sorry, it's not. If the individual can let us know, because it's shown up as anonymous user. I thought I saw a name before, but we don't have an answer right off the bat. But we can certainly check on that for you and email you directly if you can just type in your name into the chat box, and we'll confirm that for you. Any other questions on the phone? Now, do remember you are on mute, so you'll have to come off mute. If you've joined live through the Skype meeting, you can just right-click and unmute, or if you've dialed in through the phone, you can do *6 and it'll unmute. Okay, great. Zach, we'll get back to you on that question. Any other questions on the phone, or if you don't want to ask on the phone, you can type them in. Okay, next question is 1 terabyte storage per license per user standard? So let's go back to that slide, because I think it was different depending on...
So the storage, the 1 terabyte per user per license is standard across business and enterprise. The difference, once again, with enterprise, as I mentioned, is that you do have the possibility to even go up to unlimited storage. There's different ways that they work that depending on the level required. They can either increase and direct OneDrive capacity, or for even further advanced users, what they'll set up are individual SharePoint plans where they can store beyond that.
Okay. Next question is, can you mix licensed products? We may need Enterprise E3 or E5 for power users and developers, but Business Premium for task workers.
You definitely can mix licenses, and that was the idea we wanted to show by giving the different level of users, so the light versus standard versus power users. And although business and enterprise can be mixed, it would be important to really look at the features that you need and maybe stick to either the enterprise or the business level and use the different levels of licensing within each one. As once again, as I mentioned, both have different levels of right management, group policies, et cetera, that might be necessary for your entire business.
What I will add to Fed's response is part of Solera's rollout program is specifically the licensing exercise as part of our discovery and assessment phase, where we will actually have licensing specialists available to assess your business needs depending on the user type, and to maximize and optimize the best kind of license that will get you the most bang for your buck, and then still have the flexibility to change it if you actually need to change it, because you can actually change it anytime you want. So Microsoft does give you the flexibility to change up as long as they can keep the monthly minimum, but you can change the mix of licenses if one's not working out for you as well. So the next question is Skype being replaced by a new product, IM and video? So Skype is being replaced. So Microsoft did make an official line in the sand on October 1st of 2018, where they are replacing the cloud version to Microsoft Teams, which essentially has the capabilities of your IM, screen sharing, conference calling, etc. But they've also embedded in features of SharePoint into the team setting. So for example, if you have an ad hoc meeting that comes up that you set up and you're collaborating with your peers, you can share files, you can keep that meeting content going right there and residing, and people can just go back rather than having to email files back and forth. And then you can keep that forever, or if that subject or whatever project you were on has gone, is completed, you can move it to a dedicated SharePoint site or eliminate it altogether. So Teams does bring additional functionality, and that is the line of sight for Microsoft in terms of their cloud offering. Eventually, Skype will be eliminated completely from Microsoft's online offering, but the current stance now from them is if you are an organization of less than 500 employees, you have to go to Teams. And for the folks that are running on-prem version of Skype, the intent at the moment anyway from Skype is from Microsoft is they'll continue to provide updates to the on-prem version. Next question: Would Microsoft Endpoint Protection replace our Symantec solution? So, want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, Stephen, I think that is the eventual place where we will land. The Microsoft side of advanced threat protection comes into play either with buying EMS licenses as an add-on, or you can buy Microsoft 365 licenses, and that's what's got the advanced threat protection. So if you were to consider that Microsoft 365 with an E5 license, then yes, it does come with advanced threat protection and endpoint protection options that you could consider as potential options for your endpoint protection that you're running through Symantec today.
And just one thing I wanted to add on to that, Mohsen, as well, is remember with the current Symantec licensing, there's both endpoint and server coverage, so that's also key to consider. Right now, we're looking at the endpoint protection through Microsoft, but the server side would likely remain through the Symantec license.
Yep. So another question is, I believe advanced threat protection is for email only, not for desktop, correct? So the Microsoft 365 license actually does use advanced threat protection in combination with Windows Defender, which is essentially the equivalent of the antivirus that you'd be running through Symantec. So Microsoft is pushing the users in that direction where you use all Microsoft products on desktop. So the advanced threat protection, again, comes with either the EMS license or with Microsoft 365 E5 license as a included package. And yes, the direction is from Microsoft that you can essentially replace that as an all-encompassing solution without having to have separate desktop solutions. Okay, just looking around in the chat window or anybody else on the phone that has any questions. I'll just pause for a moment because we've still got time in case somebody's still typing a message. When we have further questions, who should we reach out to? I think you have a couple of options. You can reach out to your account executive for any questions, and they can go back and get the necessary resources. If you have questions directly pertaining to material that's been presented today, you can certainly reach out to any of the participants that are on the call and that I introduced earlier on the call, and we can answer those questions. Our email addresses are basically firstname.lastname@solera.ca. So for myself, it'd be mohsen.sayed@solera.ca. Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions on the chat at the moment, so I think we will thank everybody for taking the time to join the call today. Again, if there are questions, please feel free to reach out either through your account exec or us or the folks that were on Solaris call today directly. I'd be more than happy to, and look forward to getting through this journey and getting everybody on board. So thanks again for your time this morning, and have yourself a great day.